Hey everyone, this is an update to my last video. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. But last time I mentioned that Olroth's Conviction was one of the chase supports for this build. And now having obtained it, it's completely changed this build as well as opened up it to other variations. What Olroth's Conviction does with Primal Bounty is it allows you to use the Primal Bounty's current stage 2 more times. Meaning if you activate it with 3 feathers, the next 3 skills will be empowered with those 3 feathers. Same thing if you activate it at 2 feathers and 1 feather, those carry forward to the next 3 skill usage. For example, if you had explosive grenades with multi-shot, you put down 27 plus grenades in quick succession. Or 3 large volleys of explosive shot, or the OG A-10 high velocity rounds, you could put down 27 of them. You can also mix and match, meaning that the first skill use could be a barrage of armor piercing rounds, followed by the next 2 could be 18 high velocity rounds if you're using multi-shot. And because Primal Bounty has no cost, it means it costs no runic ward, which makes this support a no-brainer for any Primal Bounty build. The only downside is that this is the most expensive item on the build, costing currently around 11-12 divine on the market. I think it's still worth it as it's an immediate force multiplier for all offense projectile skills. So hopefully this makes your head spin with possibilities on how to use this build as it did for me. I'll be wrapping up my lightning variant of this build to test out other variants, including high velocity rounds, explosive shot, grenades, and more. With that, I'll get into the lightning variant and where it currently sits. We'll first start with the gear as it's not too complicated. All my gear costs less than 50 exalt each, probably totaling around 150, maybe 200 exalt. You want to get as much lightning damage as you can on the crossbow, the gloves, and rings. Everything else is just to balance out resistances and armor evasion. So wherever you can find the balance between all those, shoot for those. As far as the passive tree goes, I'll be referring to the Mobilytics tree, just because I'm in the middle of testing out a new variant. So the tree hasn't changed much from last time. We still have the base damage nodes with 2-handed weapons here and here, as well as here, and then the big projectile damage nodes here. The main thing that I'm going for now, which hasn't changed from last time, is increasing the shock magnitude, as well as eventually getting the increased exposure, just to increase the damage on the enemies. As far as skills goes, again, I'm using Olroth's Conviction. This slots in here with Primal Bounty. The Vivid Stampedes haven't changed, so they're a primary source for debuffing, applying shock, as well as exposure. And then I'm clearing with Galvanic Shards, same as last time. The main thing here that I'm adding is the Dominus Grasp, which allows for chaining 100% more times. Basically, that means the beams chain twice. So just a little bit of coverage for clearing, just so that the damage changes to more enemies. Cluster grenades haven't changed from last time. The main difference now, I'm using the Plasma Blast with Breach Lord's Amalgam. So this allows the Plasma Blast to effectively hit the target twice. And I'm running the Projectile Acceleration 3, which applies more damage whenever it's empowered by the feathers due to its increase in projectile speed. I'm running Burgeon 2, which since this is already channeling in order to fire the shot, adds additional damage. and then elemental armament and lightning attunement also to add more damage. So the way I use this is pretty simple. First, you roll to activate the feathers. This will grant damage from the increased projectile speed. Charge the shot, which will gain damage through burgeon. Be sure to keep moving to make use of the moving passive spray and pray to gain more damage. At this point, the deer should have fired off and hit the target, applying shock and exposure. As soon as you fire, charge again for a second shot. Thanks to Olroth's conviction, you won't have to roll again to apply the feathers. Make sure that you are walking onto the soaring ground that's left by your last shot. This will give you 40% more damage if you're on full life. Oh, and don't forget to use emergency reload. I always forget this one, but this also increases the damage of the next shot. Now that the target is more shocked from your last round and exposed, this second shot should do more damage. And then you can either repeat with Plasma Blast or mop up with Shock Burst rounds, which also benefit the feathers. What I'm running on Shock Burst rounds is Projectile Acceleration 3, Multi-Shot 2, Elemental Armament, Elemental Focus, since Shock Burst rounds can't apply elements anyways, and Lightning Attunement. I also use the Shock Burst rounds for rare targets as well, given the long wind-up of the Plasma Blast. So this kind of leads to the next point, which is the build weakness. The Plasma Blast wind-up can leave you pretty exposed. The Bear Companion helps a little bit in distracting the enemies, but it can still be hard to use if you're dealing with multiple fast enemies. That being said, this build variant can probably take you through late, mid, end game, but might struggle in the late end game when you have more enemies that might be attacking much faster. So I'm going to test other variants to see how they fare, and I'll post updates as well. Again, I'll keep the Mobalytics updated, as well as add new variants, which you can find in the description. All right. Thanks everyone for watching. See you in the next one.